Young America Films presents Coronet, Hitler's greatest ally.
Did Alfred Higgins ignore warnings about Pearl Harbor?
And ACI, well, hell, even we love those insane bastards.
Nothing like a relaxing day of summer ice fishing.
What makes things float? A list of materials the Addams family's beloved pet used to build a vehicle for the Mardi Gras parade.
Kevin, get on a bus and go straight to hell, okay? Just get yourself there.
Fishing on a fine day. Ah, this is the life.
Exile at sea for unspeakable crimes.
And a good lunch, too.
It's a can of urine. We've been adrift for a week.
Not a care in the world.
Suck it, Woodsy Owl.
Look at that can floating there.
How'd that get there?
What makes things float anyway? Oh, you boys want to find out.
How are you standing on
It has
water?
Something to do with size. Can you find two things in your boat the same size? There's a thought. That boy made of wood.
Pinocchio?
And one of those bricks from your anchor.
Let's put that through my ex-wife's windshield.
Yes, they're both the same size.
Nothing like taking a fishing trip and comparing sizes.
Of course, the wooden boy floats.
As that is the sole defining trait of a boy.
And the brick sinks, so floating can't depend on just size.
Congratulations, you've disproved something that nobody had asserted.
What else could it be?
Leave us alone so we can share the beer we stole.
Maybe it's weight. That's the idea. Try two things that weigh the same.
Jim's mom and a
Let's see how
full-grown
much the
sow.
sponge weighs. About 4.5 ounces.
This type of scale can be borrowed from a local hippie.
Well, now for something else that weighs the same. A lead sinker.
An object renowned for its floating ability.
Oh, too light. Try another one.
Kinda wanna do some fishing, mister.
No, damn it, weigh small metal objects.
Good. Just the same weight as the sponge.
Young rascals sure do love getting up to some measuring. Good luck stopping them.
Naturally, the lead sinker goes down, but the sponge floats, though it's just as heavy as the sinker.
Riff Tracks would like to announce at this time that this short will contain no references to ducks or witches.
You're welcome.
So it isn't weight,
But the sink rock is as heavy as the float sack.
and it isn't size alone. No, it's not that simple, is it?
Look, kids, just let me eat your bait.
But what makes things float can be explained easily in a science laboratory.
Well, the citizens of this town burned the lab to the ground years ago.
Here's a model boat.
The blind kid who made it tried his hardest, so go easy on him.
It's loaded so heavily that it sinks.
Rose!
As it sinks, the boat pushes the water aside and takes the place of the water. It displaces water. The water is forced higher in the jar.
Just as I'm forcing you boys to endure this.
Here is the displaced water, the water that the boat pushed aside.
Like an elderly woman during a fire drill.
Suppose we take out some of the load.
This concealed shipment of heroin.
Now, although the boat is made of steel, it becomes light enough to float.
Immediately, 19 Cubans sail it to Florida.
The more we remove, the lighter the boat gets, and the higher it floats in the water.
Thinking itself a god, it begins to float higher and higher.
The part of the boat that was filled with steel is now filled with air, which of course is much lighter than steel.
Lighter than steel. Well, I'm learning something.
If the boat springs a leak, it fills with water instead of air.
And the doomed passengers enjoy a final sexual free-for-all. Oh, yeah.
Water makes the boat heavier and heavier, until, finally, it sinks.
Somewhere the critic is given an idea for a catchphrase.
Of course, the real purpose of a boat is to carry something, like sand.
Ah, yes, like the great sand
The
merchants of
boat
old.
sinks lower and lower into the water as it becomes heavier and heavier. But how heavy could the boat or anything be without sinking? This depends on the water pushed aside.
For example,
The
if you
weight
throw Kevin
of the
Smith in
water
a swimming
pushed
pool, you will
aside.
displace the entire contents of that pool.
Watch. Here is a container which has as much water as it can hold without overflowing.
Here, see?
Any
Look.
water the boat displaces will run out through this tube.
Yeah, this tube here. This tube. Got it? This tube.
We can weigh the water that overflows by catching it in this glass.
Man, mixology is complicated.
But first, another glass of equal weight is put on the other side to bring the scale into balance.
Thus, the harmony of the entire universe is restored.
The boat displaces water, which runs into the glass.
This causes the scale to tip, sending the ball down the squiggly ramp, causing the hand to release the marble through the bathtub and onto the seesaw, which launches the diver into the wash tub, hitting the pole and activating the mousetrap.
How much does this displaced water weigh?
Let me guess. 1 boat.
Very good.
Walter, quit milking the scene and just weigh the damn boat.
The displaced water and the boat weigh exactly the same.
Oh, I know, your mind is completely blown right now, but just wait, this next bit is really gonna mess you up.
Now, if we add sand, the boat becomes heavier and displaces more water.
Now, if we add water to the sand, it displaces more boat.
Now let's see what happens when we pound sand.
The music from a Thin Man film really jazzes up the science.
Just draw a quick wang on here.
How much does the displaced water weigh now?
Huh? What's that? You think you know? Well, you're all wrong as usual, bunch of smart-ass, ignorant, good-for-nothing brats.
The water weighs the same as the loaded boat.
The loaded boat, however, is only a fraction of the weight of a loaded potato skin.
More sand is added.
Young Anakin Skywalker flies into a rage.
Now the boat is so far down that it's just even with the surface of the water.
This movie gave thousands of school kids an instant need to use the bathroom.
We can also use this experiment to prove the old axiom of fluid dynamics. No matter how much you wiggle and dance, the last few
Thank
drops...
you, 6-year-old Kevin.
You're welcome.
It's always important to carefully wipe your boat to ensure accuracy.
Oh, I'll wipe my boat.
And still the boat balances the water it displaces.
The result has baffled physicists for centuries.
Now watch very closely. More sand makes the boat heavier.
This is why boats shouldn't pork out on sand.
So when women are complaining about water weight, are they at home doing this?
It sinks, but no more water is displaced. The boat sinks because it is now heavier than all the water it can possibly displace.
We'll give you a few minutes to gaze in awe and wonder at the things you have just witnessed.
An object will float if it is no heavier than the water it displaces.
A fact so important we had it printed on stucco.
So you see, floating depends upon both weight and size. And say, what's happening to the weight of your bobber?
The entire mass of the universe has collapsed into it. There's no chance to escape the singularity of... Oh, wait, it's a fish. It's a fish.
Ah, the kids love to get out in the lake and reenact Fredo Corleone getting shot in the head.
Landing a fish is a little easier than understanding why some objects float. But even that is easy when you know the answer.
So forget all that messy science and just Google everything.
What makes things float?
God and his
An
merman.
object will float if it is no heavier than the water it displaces.
When stuff floats in water, it makes water feel so fat.
Join us next time when we explore the principles of suction while catfish noodling.
Things!
Riff Tracks. Some movies have it coming. Riff Tracks, copyright by Riff Tracks and Legend Films. All rights reserved. Unauthorized use or duplication is prohibited.